Good morning, everyone. I feel so grateful to be up here right now. As a lot of you know, Maurice, Lance, myself, just returned from Bali, and wow, it's a life changer for me, and you guys have expressed your deep gratitude for it as well. I hope to weave in some of the talk today with that as well, because there's just certain things that I learned there, the way they live, their culture, just their pure beingness of who they are, and as extraordinary as the sites and excursions we went on, visiting a shaman and getting blessings of the waters, water purification, temples, lots of meditation. The whole thing was extraordinary, but the people there is, I think, the highlight for me, and just how gentle they were. The title of my talk today is Loving People Where They're At, and Annie, I think, gently corrected me to say, it's loving people where they are, Brett. So hopefully you didn't grade me too harshly on that, Annie. I'm trying to do my best to accept you right now, okay? I love Annie, so excuse my harsh humor. I've heard with where different countries where they drive. In Bali, they drive on the left side of the road, and it is absolute chaos in their driving, but they know exactly what they're doing. And it is such a treat and so entertaining to know that you've got a good driver that is able to weave in and out. You got cycles passing on the left when you're sharing the lane, one lane, and cycles passing on the right. Meanwhile, there's another car coming from the other direction, and they've got somebody passing them on their left. And then you see the scooters where you got literally 3 or 4 people on the scooters. And, 2 was common, but you quite often saw 3 people, and occasionally you would see 4 people on the scooter. How they did it, I don't know. I truly don't think that an American or probably most foreigners could not drive in that situation, because, the beautiful thing is, like, when they're weaving in and out, there's this intuitive process that takes place, where they understand where somebody is going to go. You come to a traffic light, and there's about 5 feet between you and the next vehicle, and 3 cycles will come in between you, because, after all, there's 5 feet of space to use there, right? But I never, ever once saw, in the 2 weeks that I was there, I never once saw any negative or disgruntled smile by anyone, any of the Balinese people. Never. There was such a gentleness about them, and it was an accepted way. I would not want to be a part of it, because the first time somebody cuts in front of me, I'm going to be, wailing on my horn or do something probably. But the only time they used their horn was to gently let you know, I'm on your left, I'm on your right. Never an angry horn. It was so beautiful, and we just met so many incredible people there. I was raised up in a family where my dad was pretty loving and accepting. Actually, he was incredibly loving, accepting. And my mom, and I'm always a little hesitant because I always feel my mom come around me, so I'm gonna tell on her a little bit here. So I love you, Mom, and I understand that was then, this is now. So my mom was raised by a mom that was very critical, prejudice, a lot of things that she carried. And I loved my grandma, and she loved me, and that's all good. And my mom took a lot of that, but not as much, and she certainly healed a lot along the way. And she fortunately had the ears to hear what I had to share, when it pushed my buttons, in different times. But I did carry her voice in my head for many, many years. And that voice was challenging, and it was a gift. And for those of you who like to follow numbers, numerology, my numbers are 24/6, vision and acceptance. I have lots of visions, and more and more these days I'm putting them into practice. So there's always a dark side, right, when you have these things. And mine was acceptance also, and the dark side of that was to judge everybody, And that's just how I functioned. I judged myself for everything. And so the gift is staying with the process of, continuing to find ways that you're judging yourself and that you're judging others, and taking ownership of that so that you can stop that cycle. You can end the cycle. And so the beautiful gift is I feel such compassion for people these days. I really feel so grateful to just allow people to be where they're at. And I know sometimes my mind will kick in and feel like I got to educate them or heal them or change them. And the reason I'm doing that most likely is because there's something within me that doesn't like the way they are, right? And that's the teaching. That's the beautiful teaching of it. We had the opportunity to do many things in Bali that touched my heart. One of the things was we came up to different waterfalls. The whole place is just gorgeous, picture after picture. But we came up to one of the waterfalls where we had an opportunity to meditate in the waterfall. And it might look like you're going to a place that's just trickling down, but when it's falling 100 feet from below, it doesn't feel like a trickle, right? And I remember doing this, and all I could do to stay under there for about maybe, I don't even know, I lost track of time, maybe about 15 minutes. But I was getting pummeled by this water. It was just continuing to just hammer me so much. And then I had this awareness, is like, this is what our mind does, right? Sometimes when we're, what's that? Yeah. It's sometimes our mind, it feels like it's attacking us, right? It feels like it's attacking us. And in that moment of being under the waterfall, I thought, can I just allow all the water to be my thoughts and just to come as strong as you want to come? I'm still here. I'm still here. Because the truth is, the mind can come and attack you, and it can attack you and try to diminish you and say all these things, and we can either believe it or we can recognize that the truth of who we are can never, ever be diminished. That is the truth. And so when we're busy judging others, and we all do it, it's okay. I mean, you can either get caught in the judgment and then judge yourself for judging. That's an option. I don't recommend it for peace of mind. Or you can just notice that your mind is being busy. Your mind is the waterfall and it's coming at you. It's okay. It's okay. It happens to all of us. Nobody was ever designed to make it out of this free of charge. We were all designed to have this experience of separation from God, separation from our true self, so that we can come back to that place in a mighty crescendo to say, I am here. I am home. The truth of who I am can never be diminished. We listen to all this. I don't even know if I want to say nonsense, because in a way, I don't want to make it nonsense because it just is what it is. But we listen to all these thoughts about ourselves or others. I didn't share this with Lance or Maurice, and so my business partner, at times, I felt my buttons, when we were in Bali, I felt my buttons getting pushed a lot. I felt like, and I'm just saying this is what my process was of going through. So I'm not trying to diminish her in any way. I absolutely love her. And I felt that she was trying to educate me on so many things that I really wasn't interested in being educated on. And it was really just, a lot of chatter. And I'm like, oh my God, just settle down, And for the first couple days, I was kind of having this experience. And then I'm like, as much as I hate to admit it, I'm like, damn it, she's a reflection of me. I hate when I have to look at that, Oh, there must be a different way. There must be another way out. But there's not. There's not another way out, because if I do not heal it with her, there are another million of people in the world, at least, that are waiting in line, that God is happy to provide for you that same exact experience, right? You know, we've seen people get married 3 or 4 times, and I'm not saying that with judgment, but, you know, keep looking for the right relationship. You know, just saying, you might want to look a little deeper within, that's all. And I have no judgment if you don't. Life is so good to us. One of my mentors once said to me, Brett, you got 90% of your life is good. Why do you keep focusing on the 10%? You know? It's true. And it's okay. It's okay, right? Loving us and accepting us right where we are. It's okay. You know, and you know, I was thinking, I really was appreciating, Dan, your different readings that you were doing, and one of them was saying that, that we're significant, that each one of us makes a difference. And I love that. There's beauty in that. And then I also look at, sometimes when I go to my wife's church, which is a Christian-based church, non-denominational, and they talk about how insignificant we are and how broken we are. And I know, a lot of us have been through that, and we've kind of fought back against it. But I'm going to suggest they're in the perfect place. Can there be room for people to be where they are and us not needing to fix or change that? That's just a question to contemplate. You might disagree with me on it, and that's okay. I don't need you to agree with me. I just know for myself, what I see come out of her church is this beautiful humility. It's really quite beautiful. And I think that I can learn from that. I need to learn from that. You know, it's not about diminishing ourselves, and maybe some people feel diminished by that, and maybe people need to feel they need to keep affirming that we are somebody. But ultimately, for me, it's not about being somebody, it's about being nobody. Nobody. Because when I come back to my heart, I see I don't have anything to prove. When I come back to my heart, I'm not worried about what other people think of my path. My path feels good and it feels right for me. I love my path. And I hold the space for others to the best of my ability to have your experience and your path as well. There's room for everyone. What if everything is unfolding exactly the way it needs to? Some of you might not agree with that, and that's okay. But you've heard me say this before with my teacher, saying, there's not one single hair out of place in the universe. I'm like, whoa, really? Because I saw this guy do this to me, and that seemed way out of place, right? That's where our mind goes with it. But as I continue to really melt into my heart, into the pure beingness of who I am, I feel more and more I don't need to fix or change anybody, nor do I need to fix or change myself. And we try really hard at that, right? We're trying to fix and heal ourselves because we feel something is broken within ourselves. And it's okay. But I find that when I start noticing and being aware of my head and what it has to say, I find that as a witness to life, as a witness to my thoughts, as a witness to my judgments, I don't have to listen to any of it. I'm just noticing it and allowing it to be right where it is. And for me, I find peace there. There was some people in Bali that when I met them, when we were meeting them, it's kind of funny with their names too, because the names of the firstborn, there's only 3 choices. Wayan was one of them. I think Katu was another. I don't remember the third choice. So all the Balinese have one of these 3 names if they're the firstborn. And then the second born is Made and something else. And then, and I think the third born, there's only one name choice. So, and I don't know what they do for 4 or more, so I'm not sure. But so we would meet we met a couple Mades, and, but there was just something so beautiful and easy about their life. And they spent so much time creating what was called a Chanang offering. And they created these exquisite, beautiful, Maurice did it really well. Lance and I needed a little help on it. You did better than I did. So, but there was it bamboo on the little baskets? Palm leaves in the baskets. And then they would put flowers, certain flowers for north and south and east and west in the different directions. And they would put that in front of their homes, their businesses. The place that we went to learn about the Chanang offerings, they did the Chanang offerings 50 times a day. They had ceremonies that were for full moon, for new moon, for weddings, for cremation. They had all kinds of ceremonies. In fact, our driver, Made, loved this guy. He was saying how much money he spent each year just on ceremonies. And I thought, well, the ceremonies and your Chanang offerings, what's left? Do you guys have any time, to play around or do things? And I thought, it seems kind of like they're missing out on life. And then I'm like, I realized they weren't missing out on anything. That was their life. Their life was devoted to just living as spiritual and as joyful as a life as possible. And it was absolutely reflective in their culture. It was just gorgeous. And so it just struck me of how much time we spend, needing to be entertained. I'm not saying that's a bad thing. I like to be entertained sometimes too, but we spend a lot of time doing something to entertain our mind because it's getting bored. When we were there for 2 weeks, the retreat was 10 days, and we did a lot of meditation. I don't think you guys did either. I didn't turn on the TV. There was no media, really. I looked on my phone occasionally for messages that I need to be aware of, or contacting my wife and my son. But there was just very little of that. And it was just about being present with life. And I actually was meditating we had a fairly large room. It was always hot there. It was like 90s every day. So it was very hot. We had the meditation room, and I was in there one morning, just praying, talking to God, and just being by myself. And then there was a slight opening in the glass doors, and a dove flies right inside the meditation room. And he was trapped. And I got him kind of in the corner, and I picked him up. And I just went out and I set him on the railing outside. And I just stood there about, a minute or 2 minutes with this dove, this beautiful dove that had flown in. And to me, I took it as a sign, That's like, it was a sign of peace, And that's what I was feeling there. And Randall said very beautifully, I think really he just said, when you have an experience like that and you come back, everything looks different. And it's true, everything looks different. But nothing has changed. But everything has changed, right? I feel all of us here are here because we want to discover something that reminds us who we are, that peace, joy, and that truth that is here right now in this moment. We don't have to go to Bali. It's wonderful if you get a chance. But we don't have to go there. We don't have to climb the highest mountains. We don't have to prove our worth. We don't have to save the world. We don't have to save the world. We do not have to prove our worth. All we need to do is keep letting go of these false ideas of who we think we are. And for me, in letting go of that, I do that via the way of meditation or being aware of what my mind has to say. Just the waterfall coming down. Just notice the waterfall is coming now. I see it. I feel it. It's okay. I don't need to resist the thoughts. And I want to expand this a little bit further too. I don't need to resist any of the feelings. Because we talk about we're not our thoughts, but sometimes we forget that we're not our feelings also. And you might be caught in the feeling of frustration or disappointment or anger. I was noticing for myself, when I had my judgment coming up with my business partner at the time, and by the way, we moved through things very beautifully, so I don't want to leave it in that way. And it was a beautiful teaching, but the more I was able to not only notice my thoughts, but notice my feelings about that, not try to push them away, because we're so quick, right? We're so quick, like, how do I get out of this? Oh my God, I'm judging, or I'm frustrated, I'm angry, and we're praying for God to help us to heal this situation, or get us the hell out of this situation somehow. And so we look to healing or growing in some way. That's all fine. But there's nothing to heal or grow if you recognize that the thoughts and feelings are just the mind being busy. It's just the waterfall coming down on your head. That's all. The more you recognize that you are not that, and you stop identifying with the mind and the body, freedom presents itself. I've said this before, but I want to say this again. We talk about we're not our bodies and we're not our minds. But we say all the time, I am angry, I am frustrated, I am cold. It's all these I ams that are giving you an indication that you are identifying with the body and the mind. Conceptually, we might understand it. We might understand that we're not those things, but I'm just saying, notice those times when you're saying, I am, and there's something that follows it. Because the truth is, all you can say is, I am. That's it. Anything you say after that is all an observable thought or opinion. And anything that you can observe is not you. Anything that is observable is not you. You can observe the mind, you can observe the thoughts, the body, the feelings, the experiences, but none of them can be a witness to you. Nothing can exist in life without you recognizing that you exist, that life exists, right? If there was no conscious awareness, none of it would matter. But you have to have conscious awareness to recognize the game of life. You have to have that. See, you can be without even the mind or the body, which is what we experience when we leave this place, or you can be without the experiences. You can be without anything, but you cannot be without conscious awareness. It's the only way life can exist. And that is the only thing that is stable and eternal. I feel like what I want to leave you with is, if you can, please do your best to take responsibility for everything going on in your life. Because as long as we're making someone or something else the problem, we'll never be able to heal it within ourselves, right? Like I said, there's always another million people waiting, whatever you're judging to that. So the more you can take responsibility and say, this is for me. And you can acknowledge the feelings, by the way. Acceptance doesn't mean that you say, I shouldn't be thinking that. No. You can think it. You can feel it. It's okay. You can have anger. You can have hatred. It's okay. Just recognize that is not you. It's just your mind being busy. That's the difference. That's all. So the more we can take responsibility to know that everything is here to teach us and awaken us, then we can just experience the freedom of life. And because I can promise you, for me, when I'm rooted in my beingness, when I'm rooted in my awareness, there's no struggle, there's no fight. Because you're just allowing life to unfold exactly as it needs to. And in that, I'm able to embrace everyone. There's no one that I can't embrace, including myself. Thank you so much.